I'm Hartwig Fischer, Director of the British Museum, and the British Museum has the great privilege of being the partner of Manchester Museum in the creation of the new South Asia Gallery, which was curated by a collective of 30 members of the South Asian community of Greater Manchester, and which is, I think, an absolutely wonderful achievement. Well, we have very important South Asian collections at the British Museum ourselves. And we have, apart from what we do in London and Bloomsbury, where our main building is, a huge network of museums we work with right across the country. And within that network of roughly 150 museums, there are partnership galleries with whom we work more intensely, even more intensely. And Manchester Museum is one of the partnership galleries. So when Manchester Museum approached us back in 2015, saying we would like to do the South Asia Gallery, could we team up? Because we don't have very strong collections in this area, but we have a very strong community. How can we combine this? We said, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And then this idea of having a gallery which is community curated was very much at the heart of the whole project. And that, for us, was one of the main reasons to engage, because we wanted to enlarge our own practice. We wanted to explore how to bring in communities to tell their stories, to enlarge the number of voices that are present in our museums, and that deepen and widen the offer to the public. And I think this gallery is really a game changer. It is an amazing achievement that will be looked at by many museums, not only around this country, internationally, I'm sure. It is, and I think it's important to stress that, the achievement of a collective of members of a specific community, which in themselves have an extremely rich and varied cultural heritage, bridging continents, a complicated history, and embracing all that and keeping it present and living with it. And here's the space where they can share their experience and offer it up for identification, if you like. I'm sure that everybody coming into this gallery, not only members of the South Asian community in the UK or in Europe, will be fascinated by this. Everybody will understand that through your own experience, your own stories and history, you can connect. And I think that's the key. You can connect to history, you can connect to your forebears, you can connect to your fellow human beings. So all this, we didn't know where this would lead when we engaged. And it's been over these 8 years, and every single member of that collective will tell you that. It's been a very intense process. How do you manage to define what the stories in this space should be? How do you make sure that you as an individual feel represented, but that what you as an individual tell in this space also represents that history of South Asia and of those relations between South Asia and the UK. And the collective themselves were very keen to work with scholars, with curators, to get the balance right between the radically individual. This is my experience, this is my family, this is my background, and very often these backgrounds are quite complex. And filled with passion, warmth, but also conflict. So how do you get that into the gallery, those stories, and then at the same time make sure that when you come into this gallery you get a good idea of not only centuries, of millennia of history. And as always, you choose certain objects to do that. And you have to be an ingenious short storyteller to do it, because the labels are that small and the panels are not bigger than that. So you really have to hone it down. You have to bring it down to the essential and then get that message across.
Absolutely.
It's only that in this gallery it suddenly becomes easy. Because there's people, it's not the authoritative voice of the museum telling you how it is. It's individuals and their take. Balanced by scholarship or through scholarship. And I think that's, and I have to say, a wonderful design. You could say that a museum is a space where each and every object becomes significant. If it lies around in a drawer, you might say, okay, what is this? And generally move on. If it's in a museum in a showcase, and if it is beautifully lit, beautifully presented, you really start to think about it. So you open up this incredible potential of objects to tell you about other people. And that works super well in this gallery, I think. And this is why we all engage with it, and we're all fascinated. Plus the video by the youngest member of this collective, which I think is just such a beautiful take on music, on ritual, the things for which people would dress up in their traditional garments to mark the moment, to mark the importance, to mark belonging and community. And it all binds it together and brings it to the present. When you do this, that's really what you hope, that you open up a space to connect, and to connect to the past, to connect to people. In the end, it's always about that. Who were they? How did they live? How did they manage to survive? How did they not survive? Because of course there's a lot of tragedy in this, not least triggered by colonialism. But then when you go to Mumbai and you speak to people in Mumbai, for instance, and we work a lot with the CSMVS museum there, which is a wonderful museum, great colors. When you speak about empire, you get different reactions to that too.
Yeah.
Different communities had different roles and had different positions. And it's also a generational question. What do the younger ones feel about this against the older generations? It's a movable feast. It's moving all the time. And I think this place is very explicit. You could say it states the facts too. I think it will open up most wonderfully so many perspectives on the life we lead. A multicultural life where so many communities live together without necessarily always connecting. And this gallery is a connector, I think. So I hope, I feel that many people coming here will leave the gallery with a desire to connect more and to participate in this incredible richness of experience and of ways of living and of community. And that's why I think it's important.